Hey guys, how you doing? Thank you very much for joining us. Really appreciate you coming on. As you come in, do us a massive favor. Whoever's channel you're on, please give the like button a little bit of a smash. And the more people we get hitting the like button, the more people will get into the live stream. How are you doing, Bob?
I'm doing pretty good today. I've been sick for the last couple of weeks, but it's finally clearing up. I got out for a walk today in a no temperature kind of day. There was no temperature, it was 0 degrees outside, but it was still very nice to get out and get a walk in finally after being sick for so long.
Mm. Is the sun out at least?
Oh, yeah, it was bright and sunny today.
Oh,
Bright and
nice.
sunny. It's not having any effect. I mean, it's you actually have to be very careful. That's why I wore my spikes out for the walk, because when the sun is beating down on the sidewalks on a day like today, the sun will try to melt the snow, but the air temperature will refreeze it right away. So you end up with this layer of ice on the sidewalks.
Ah. And that's like real slippery.
Oh yeah, that's why, and it was hit and miss. I did my usual mile-and-a-half loop one time because I hadn't been out in quite some time, because I've been sick. But there were spots where I would have been fine in my tennis shoes, but there were a lot of spots where I could feel the spikes digging in and keeping me from falling and busting my butt. So it's a good thing I decided to wear the spikes today.
Yeah, it's pretty scary sometimes. Like, I know this is not related to Carnivore, but I had an experience when I was living in London years ago, and I just won some money, and I went out and used that money to buy a new tailored suit. And I had this new tailored suit. I was walking back from work and had that ice situation you describe on the where I was walking, and I tripped, and that new tailored suit I was wearing got this massive rip in the leg, and I could never wear it. So
Wow.
yeah, I should have been wearing spiked business shoes. um, so hello, Carnivore for Life, coming in from Darwin. How you doing, guys? Let us know where you're coming in from, and say hello. Suzanne, how you doing? Carnivore Talk, how you doing? And another one for Bob. Cheers. Um, okay, Patricia, how you doing? Good to see you. Tall Cedars, how you doing? Good to see you all.
Hey, where are you from in northeastern Ohio? Because I got a lot of relatives in that area still. I mean, I had aunt and uncle that were from a little town up there, a suburb of Cleveland called Willoughby, where now it's been a really long time ago, but he was the superintendent of schools for Willoughby.
Mm. Tina, how you doing? Suzanne. We've got Amanda coming in from New Zealand. Okay. And Mick. How you doing, Mick? Good to see you. Stowe, east of Akron.
Oh, okay.
It's
I know
Stowe. Is that a
exactly where
correct
that's at.
pronunciation?
Yeah, because I grew up in Ohio. Now I'm from a little
Uh,
town in southeastern Ohio called, well, the closest real town you've probably heard of is Athens, Ohio, where Ohio University is.
mm.
Um,
So I think I was talking to someone about Ohio once, and apparently there's a greeting you can do. Like, is it right if I say OH, you would reply with
IO.
yeah, see, I got it. um, hey, Asha, thanks for joining. And oh, we got someone else from Ohio, Ms. Elaine from
Waynesville, Ohio.
Waynesville. Okay, Wendy from Nova Scotia. How you doing, Wendy? Uh, Athens is familiar. Hey, Mandy, how
Mhm.
you doing? Good to see
Hey,
you.
Mandy.
Snuggled in with my fur baby. Nearly 11 p.m. UK time. Oh, wow. Thanks for joining us so late.
Mhm. Yeah, I shut my space heater off so it won't interrupt us with noise while we're on this live stream. But I can feel it already starting to get chillier down
So
here in my studio
you
room
I
because
just
it's
hope I just hope you're wearing spiked shoes so that with the ice that forms during the live stream, you won't trip over afterwards.
yeah, no, I it just the house doesn't circulate really well because what happens is when it's this bright outside, the sun hits the windows, which holds the temperature upstairs, which is where the thermostat's at, and it gets frightfully cold down here in the basement. So
Mm.
I have to have a little space heater down here because well it's supposed to get down to minus 18 here tonight. So it's and that's Fahrenheit,
I feel
not
cold.
not
I feel cold
Celsius.
just hearing that. I feel cold just hearing that. Uh,
Yeah, it's gonna get fun, but it's almost over. It's now
mm.
February the 19th, and by the 22nd, it's supposed to be up to almost 50. And usually in March, we'll get a lot of snow still, but we won't get any negative temperatures.
You still get snow in March.
Oh yeah, we can get snow here all the way up till Easter weekend.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Sometimes it's really nice, sometimes it's 75 degrees and sunny outside, and other times it's snowing.
Very, very changeable. Oh, Mandy, thank you very much. Watching both channels. Thank you. Um, so guys, have you got any questions or discussion points that you'd like us to touch on? Please let us know. Just put a big Q in front of it, and then my poor eyesight will find it. So what's been on the menu today, Bob? Have you eaten already?
I have not. I actually have cut out eggs recently just while I was sick because they were making my stomach a little rumbly. So I bought I got a bunch of 1 pound uh, ground beef packages on sale. So I've got those, and I bought a big box of 80/20 pre-made frozen hamburger patties. So instead of having a pound of ground beef and then 6 to 8 eggs, I've been having a pound of ground beef and then 4 or 5 burger patties on top of that, making it about 2 pounds of ground beef. And that's what I've been having since I got sick. I haven't eaten any of my eggs because they've been bothering me a little bit. So we'll see.
Yeah. That's an awesome kind of conversation point, I reckon, like when you're talking to a non-carnivore and it's like the non-carnivore's like, so what did you eat? And it's like beef. What did you garnish it with? Beef?
Beef. Yes, I had beef and a side of beef.
um,
And
hey
yes,
Peter,
John,
how you
I
doing?
I do
Uh,
see that it's about time to break out the buzz cutter to cut my hair again, but I'm not cutting my hair off again until the temperature gets above freezing. Because so it may happen sometime in the next week or so, but I'm not. I was looking at it this morning going, man, I really need to cut my hair, but it's supposed to be minus 15 out there 2 mornings in a row. I'm not cutting my hair off at minus 15 degrees.
right, right. Yeah, I got mine had grown so ridiculously over the last few months. So eventually the other day I just went, I've had enough of this, and I got the clippers out and took it off. It was like shearing a sheep. It was crazy.
Yeah, I do
Yeah.
that a couple of times a year. It gets about this long, and I say, okay, that's enough, and I just hack it all off and start all over again. But it's, I'm not spending $20 or $25 on a haircut anymore. And, I bought the clippers that I use off of Amazon, gosh, probably 15 or 20 years ago for less than
Right.
$20. So I've saved a lot of money in haircuts over the years.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
know that's not a carnivore topic either, but if you want to save money, buy yourself some clippers and just cut your hair off.
Mm. So John's asking, how are the prices of eggs in Japan? So this is actually interesting because I haven't noticed any change in the prices here recently, as everyone else has been talking about it. So at the moment, for 10 eggs, they come in tens, not dozens here. For 10 eggs, it would cost me 280 yen, which is, I'll just convert this to JPY. Just convert this to dollars. In US dollars, 280 yen. That's at like $1.85. So
Yeah,
$1.85
that's
10 eggs.
that's still fairly cheap.
Yeah. They are pretty small though. They're not like a lot of people when they've seen me cooking on video, there are a lot of people from the US or Australia have said like they're very small eggs. So they're kind of yeah, they're not massive. But yeah, how much are they there, Bob?
Last time I bought eggs, I got a double 18 pack. So 18 and 18 is what, 36. I got 36 eggs for like $9. But those double 18 packs used to be $4. So they've more than doubled in price over the last year and a half.
Right. God, that's pretty insane inflation, and this is because there's like a bird flu or something.
Yeah, if you say so.
Oh, okay.
I'll,
No,
I'll,
I just
I'll,
meant this is because they're culling them or something.
that's the excuse they're using. All I
Right.
know is
Okay.
that when I first started doing just ground beef and eggs, I was paying about 10 cents an egg, and now I'm paying between 45 and 50 cents an egg.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So crafted performance. I think we're in the same boat, Bob. The little hair we have left is a more psychological thing than the real physical benefit at this point.
Could be.
Yeah, for me too. Okay. Where are we? Where are we? Do we have any questions? Oh, hang on. More egg talk. Okay, Carnivore talk about $4 per dozen here. No major price hikes, but they are sold out everywhere. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
$5.99 at Aldi last week for a dozen. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, but that's just the way things are right now.
Yeah. 12 for
It will
485.
slowly get better.
Yeah, because this has happened before, right?
Yeah, I mean, anytime there's a shall we say, an epidemic of bird flu, whether real or not, they go in and use that as an excuse to kill off a bunch of herds. But it's kind of odd that they're always calling the herds of the medium and small producers, but they leave the big factory farms alone. I find that odd.
Yeah. Someone mentioned something to me the other day that I also thought was interesting that I never crossed my mind. Why is it only chickens that get this?
Well, because they don't commercially farm duck eggs and quail eggs, and we'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
So because I don't want to turn this into a political show because
okay,
because I could go off on this whole bird flu thing, but I'm not going to today. That's not what people are tuned in for.
The booby goats. I did the math last week. A dozen of my chicken eggs mixed with ducks and such about $5. Okay, they're a bit cheaper in the UK. Mandy's saying. Oh no, but maybe pounds is working in pounds. Okay, 12 cheap eggs, 2.60. Okay, £2.60. Oh my goodness! I'd have to mortgage my house for that. £6. Wow. So guys, if you've got any questions, please chuck the questions into the chat. Just put a Q in front of them and we'll get to those. Also, if my sound is any different today, please let me know how my sound is. I got a new mic the other day, so I'm interested to know if it's coming through better. And it's not in my face. So if it's coming through better, that's a good sign because I don't have to have it right up to my mouth to talk into it now. Okay.
It looks like everybody's. Yeah. Well, I'll ask you a question. I don't know how much advertisement you watch over there, but because I use streaming services, I get served a lot of the same commercials all the time because I don't watch over the air TV except during football season. And have you noticed that the big food companies, in reaction to the new person in charge of Health and Human Services, a very popular popcorn has changed their ad from low calorie to 3 ingredients, like only having 3 ingredients
Really
is going to hit the sweet spot in the advertising. And of course, corn is one of the ingredients, which is a grain, which we don't eat that. And it's popped in seed oils. So, 2 of the 3 ingredients. And then if they're using standard commercialized salt, if you look on those round blue boxes of Umbrella Girl salt, the second ingredient in that box is sugar.
That's awesome. What's in your salt, sugar? But isn't that interesting how marketing works?
Yeah, I mean, because they have immediately shifted. As I saw a meme one time that said, the person that decided to advertise this snack as a 100-calorie snack was a genius, because 100 calories sells a lot better than 30 chemicals.
Right. Yeah. But it's just amazing. And the marketing just swings with the wind. They're just gonna go with whatever is going to make them the most sales at the time.
Yeah, I mean, ever since RFK Jr. got confirmed and he started putting out what he thinks the guidelines should be, advertising immediately shifted from low calorie to low ingredients.
Yeah.
They didn't change their product at all. They just changed the way they're marketing it.
Right. That's crazy. Yeah. And that it just happens like that, like,
oh yeah,
the whole
overnight.
lead up to this, they're probably planning like, what are we going to change? What are we going to say? Yeah. Wow. So we got a question here from Booby Goats. What's your favorite cut of meat? I'll go with it's not fatty enough, but I'm going to go with an eye fillet. I'm not sure what that's called in the US, but yeah, it's one of the leaner ones, but I just really like it. How about you, Bob?
Well, of course, everybody's going to answer ribeyes, but I actually like New York strips a little bit better. I think they're easier to cook because they're not quite as big. I usually have to add butter because the New York strip is not quite as fatty as a ribeye, but the way I cook, which isn't very well, they
Mm.
come out better than most ribeyes do. So that's where I go. But it's hard to say because I primarily eat ground beef and I so rarely actually have a steak. You know, like right now I have about 40 pounds of ground beef and one 3 pound chuck roast in my freezer. And that's what's up there right now.
Mm. And how do you cook it? You use the air fryer?
No, no. When I actually cook a steak, I put a half a stick of butter in my cast iron, get it nice and hot, really, really hot. And then I sear it on both sides really well. And then I stick it in the oven to bring it up to temperature on the inside.
Ah, okay. Oh, nice. Um, okay, John, have you heard that some cows are now catching the bird flu from chickens?
I've heard that fiction.
Okay. And Paul, I eat 2 or 3 eggs a day. I feel they are nutritionally essential. What do you all think? I think eggs are a bit like a multivitamin. Like, even before carnivore, I used to eat lots of eggs. I used to eat 6 eggs a day before carnivore. It's the only healthy thing I ate before carnivore, but I did. How about you, Bob?
I think eggs are a multivitamin. I asked the question on my channel about a month or two ago if you could live on just eggs. And the nutrition profile is a little bit different in an egg than it is in beef, but both eggs and beef have the complete nutrition profile that you need. So if you like eggs and you get along well with eggs, adding some to your meal, as I used to do all the time up to my total food intake without breaking the budget. But right now, with the price of eggs, besides them making me a little sick to my stomach with this bug that I've had, I can get 3 or 4 extra hamburger patties into the skillet for less than I would get 6 or 8 eggs into the skillet. So right now, I'm just eating beef with a side of beef instead of my side of eggs because it's actually a little cheaper to eat hamburgers than it is to eat eggs right now. But yes, I do believe both beef and eggs are multivitamins.
Hmm. Hmm. Here's an interesting question from Tall Cedars. What do you think of allulose? I'm scared of anything that ends with ose. How about you, Bob?
Um, yeah, if you are using it and you're not seeing any adverse reactions, I don't think there's any reason to be afraid of any of the artificial sweeteners. But as a general rule, I believe that if you can get off all of the artificial sweeteners, that's a good way to go. But again, everybody is a little bit different. So
Mm.
if you're using it and not having any problems with it and seeing the results that you want to see, I see no reason to say don't do it.
Mm. And just quickly, I may suddenly have to mute myself and go off camera. I've got a sneeze coming on. Um, because I've got the little heater by my side here, it's constantly blowing dry air on my face, so and probably dust. So yeah. Uh, Tom, is raw beef liver safe? Because I'm reading online that it's susceptible to foodborne illnesses, but I've also seen multiple carnivore influencers eating it raw. Um, I don't I don't know. I wouldn't trust myself to get the right stuff to eat it raw, but I honestly don't know. Have you heard anything, seen anything, Bob?
All I would say to that is if you know where your meat is being sourced, whether it be beef or beef liver or whatever. If you know the butcher you're getting it from and you know it's good, clean meat, I don't see how that would be any more susceptible to foodborne illness than anything else. Me personally, I don't eat raw food. I don't like
Mm.
it. I, I can't really say I don't like it because I've never actually put a piece of raw beef or raw liver in my mouth, but there's no reason to eat it raw because unless you really like it that way, because we've been cooking meat for thousands of years and we're still here as a species.
Mm.
So, but it's as long as you know where the meat is coming from, I don't see any reason why you shouldn't be able to eat it raw.
Mm. Carnivore Talk says, I tried liver raw once. It was actually better than cooked. Interesting. Yeah, I'd like to try it raw, but it's just the appearance of it is bad enough when it's cooked, let alone when it's raw. And I'm a very visual and textural eater, like so yeah, if
Yeah, and
it looks bad, I can't do it.
yeah, and I have all of my upbringing to try and overcome, which I've done very well. When I cook a steak, I will eat a steak medium now and a little bit on the red side of medium. But I grew up in a house where if you were having any kind of beef, it got cooked all the way through. I mean, when we would occasionally go out to eat as a family to a steakhouse, everybody got their steaks very well done because that's just the way I was raised. And when I first started carnivore, it was very hard for me to look at a piece of meat that still had red in the middle. But over the course of the last almost 3 years, I have managed to convince myself that it will still be fine if it's mostly red in the middle. But
Right.
that's not the way I was brought up. And it has taken a lot of self training to even eat the stuff medium and medium rare instead of well done.
Mm. Yeah, that's kind of the way I was brought up as well. Like I was brought up watching my dad wait forever for his meals because he wanted the porterhouse super well done kind of thing. And when it's burnt, it's done was kind of the thing. If you can
Mm-hmm.
bounce it off the walls, then it was done. Um, but yeah, I much prefer it medium or medium rare now. But it was a training experience for me too. Yeah. Um, okay. No more questions, guys. Chuck your questions in, please. Put your questions into the live stream. Um, maybe because we're starting a little bit later, there's less questions today or something.
Yeah, could
Yeah.
be. It's hard to say.
Yeah. So, your last meal, Bob, if you were having your last meal, what would it be? Would it be a carnivore meal?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have
What would
said
you
this
order?
steak. I don't know what kind of steak, but I would have a steak with a side of steak because I have said this multiple times on my channel. Even if you came up with absolute certifiable proof that eating carnivore was going to kill me next week, I still wouldn't change a thing because I feel so much better today than I did 3 years ago. I would rather have only one more week of feeling this good versus multiple weeks of feeling like crap.
Mm. Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Like, I can't, and also, I mean, it makes you kind of confident to talk that way anyway, because why would it be that bad for you if you feel so good, right?
Yeah,
It just it's kind of that's totally counterintuitive, right? If you start to feel better and better and better and better and better, and you're healing, how is that possibly ever going to be bad for you? Um, yeah. Okay. Sisse, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Sisse, Dave, have you heard anybody who got scurvy or any other health issue whilst on a strict carnivore diet? I haven't. I've never met a scurvy sufferer. Um, the has anyone had any other health issue develop? I don't think so. Not that I've heard. Yeah. How about you, Bob? Have you had anyone talk about health issues cropping up?
absolutely. But if you investigate it further, you realize that it wasn't actually the carnivore diet that did that to them. The one thing that I like to talk about a lot, because it seems to be fairly common, is that people say, "Oh, I tried keto, I tried carnivore, but it gave me a kidney stone." Well, no. The kidney stone was already there. The ketogenic or carnivore lifestyle actually started to help so that the kidney stone was shrinking so that your body could get rid of it.
Mm.
Unfortunately, when your body gets to the point where it's ready to eject that kidney stone, that's very painful. And people, because that's the thing that has changed the carnivore diet, is their most recent change, and they've never had a kidney stone before. They go, "Oh, carnivore gave me a kidney stone." Well, no, it didn't, but that's a
Yeah.
very common misconception. And there
Mm.
are a lot of conditions like that, that
Yeah.
as your body starts to heal, it can get a little bit worse before it gets better. But it wasn't technically caused by carnivore.
Yeah. It's kind of the thing with people go carnivore and they have a heart attack the week later, Yeah, you could blame the week of carnivore, but it also might be the 30 years of smoking and bad living that you had before that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, okay. So, Miss Elaine, did you start out with carnivore slowly, like from keto, or did you go ho ho immediately? Um, Bob, how about you? What did you do?
I jumped right in with both feet. Now, I don't recommend this unless you have nothing else to do for a couple of weeks, because on one day I was standard Western diet, the next day I was carnivore. And the day after that, I spent the next 2.5 weeks not being able to get more than a couple of steps away from my bathroom. Because when you change that quickly, you will, let's just say, you'll have bathroom issues that are sudden and explosive. So, unless you have no job to go to or nothing else that you need to go do, and you can spend the next 2 or 3 weeks basically camped out in the bathroom, then by all means jump right in. But if you want to avoid all of that, keep your electrolytes up and gradually change your diet over the course of 4 to 8 weeks.
Hmm. Yeah. I often say I jumped in, but I didn't really because I'd started with keto and I'd been keto before over many, many different times over 20 odd years. So I think my body was kind of adapted to eating this way. So, um, yeah, I technically didn't jump in, although it did happen quite fast. Um, Booby Goats, how many times do you eat a day? One. Same for you, Bob?
Yeah, especially this time in the year, I eat once a day. Now, in the summertime, when I'm walking and doing chores around the house and going to the miniature golf course and I'm really busy, I will occasionally have a small second meal if I get home and I'm really hungry. But primarily for the last, I've been carnivore for just under 3 years now. For about 2.5 years that I've been one meal a day, 95% of the time.
Yeah, my situation is kind of the same. Like nearly every day is OMAD, but if I feel hungry, I'll eat something else. You know, I'm not gonna say no to myself if I actually feel hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, John, Dave, do you have an exercise regimen? Um, Not really. I like to walk, but that's basically all the exercise I get, and that's lacking at the moment too because it's so cold. But yeah, I like to walk, and my favorite walk actually is about 90 minutes long. So when the weather is not so cold, I do get a fair bit of exercise. Yeah, you walk even in the cold, right, Bob?
I because I've been sick, I hadn't, but I got back out for a walk today in no temperature. Walked for about a mile and a half with my spikes on because it was icy out and had to trudge my way through some deep snow. And on top of all that, still I have a little exercise routine that I do with I have a power station that weighs just under 50 pounds. It's like 47 pounds. And I pick that up and hold it, and then I'll do squats with it, and then I'll do chest pulls with it, and then I'll later on in the day do some push-ups. So I have a pretty regular exercise routine on top of
Oh,
walking
nice.
every day.
Nice. I need to get one of those
Mhm.
for myself,
That's why
but
I
you
got
know.
guns.
um, okay. Huang Lin. Dave Mack, after interviewing hundreds of people, what are some common things they experience on a carnivore way of eating? Well, I think the most common things, uh, sleep improves, energy improves, thinking gets clearer, you know, the brain fog goes away, all that kind of thing. Um, so your decision making gets better about things. So that kind of all starts pretty early on for most people. The other thing that people have in common, I think, is if you've got type 2 diabetes, you either reverse it or start to reverse it. It's just, it depends on the individual how long it takes. But, you know, once you stop putting sugars and all that kind of thing into your body starts to heal, and consistently people have success with type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetes as well. Yeah.
And I would add they even have success with type 1 diabetes. Now, a type
Mm.
1 doesn't make any insulin, so they do still have to take some, but they can get much better control of their blood glucose and use a microscopic amount of insulin injection over top of what your average type 1 diabetic has to use.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, just in support of that, I've done interviews with maybe 4 or 5 type 1 diabetics who are controlling their type 1 much better on carnivore. Um, Carnivore Hercules. I know of several people who quit snoring after going carnivore, including myself. What was it that caused the inflammation that caused snoring? Could be fatty tongue, right? Could be um, like you're more likely to sleep with your mouth open if you are eating like a regular diet and lots of sugar, and that probably contributes to it. Bad sleep and all those kind of things. Have you got any thoughts on this, Bob?
Yeah, well, what was it that caused the inflammation that caused the snoring? Sugar, vegetable seed oils, all of the things that cause inflammation throughout the rest of your body will cause inflammation in the nose throat area. And just like you can get fatty liver, you mentioned fatty tongue, just like you can get fatty liver and other fatty organs if the body needs someplace else to store some extra fat, it will dump some in your tongue, which makes your tongue a little bigger in the back, and it's much easier to close off your airway if your airway is inflamed. So it's pretty much all of the all of the things that cause inflammation
Mm.
can
Mm.
cause inflammation for snoring as well, in my
Mm.
opinion. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV. I don't have all the answers, but that's my first guess.
Mm. So, guys, just a quick on a go moment. Can you do us a massive favor if you haven't already? Whoever's channel you're on right now, could you please smash the like button? That'll help bring some more people in and keep the chat going. And we've got some questions here. Well, first from Carnivore Dode. Or carnivore ode. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. It might be wired, but I did carnivore for 10 days and I broke and I had like 8 bananas and I also had the most incredible mental clarity. The question is, after how much time you feel like you have this? I think it'll vary by person. But some people can experience it day one. I know I experienced better sleep and some mental clarity on day one. But yeah, it can be different for everyone. How about you, Bob? What was your experience?
Yeah, it varies from person to person. I'm reading the question is how much time before you feel like you have this, which means you're not going to cheat anymore and break and have 8 bananas.
Oh, sorry.
Um, that's the way I'm reading the question. So if that's the way the question is meant to be, um, it varies. What I say is next time, try to go for 11 days before you break and have a bunch of bananas. And then the next time, try to go for 12 days and just slowly get better at it a little bit each time. And eventually, you'll get to the point where you don't really want the bananas anymore.
Mm,
Um, I've heard of people, their cravings going away in 3 to 4 weeks, and other people's fight with cravings for 6, 8, 10 months. It's just, it varies from individual to individual.
mm.
And again, just like if it's a mental clarity question, that also happens in a very wildly different fashion for each person.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I second that. Just keep trying. And the most important thing about overcoming the cravings and is just get back on the wagon as soon as you can. And if you fall off again, get back on, get back on, get back on, and eventually you won't fall off anymore. Um,
It's not how many times you fail, it's how many times you get back up.
mm, definitely. Um, okay. Oh, so there was a follow up to this. Sorry. Like this feeling will become the norm after a while. So the mental clarity, yes,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Um, okay, Dave, what is the best approach to get people on a carnivore diet? I would say lead by example is the best way. Because talking to people about it is good, but eventually I think people switch off and they think, oh, he's the guy that always talks about diet or something like that. Don't get him started on diet. the best way is just to lead by example. You know, people see you're healthy, and people see you're vibrant, and people see you've always got energy and that kind of thing. You're always happy. Then they'll start to feel like, how come I'm always feeling so bad? How come I always feel so crap? I'm going to try this. What are your thoughts on that, Bob?
Absolutely. You all you can I wish there was a better answer to this, but there isn't. All you can do is lead by example so that when they hit their rock bottom, they're looking around because you've been leading by example. They'll go, Bob used to be really miserable and fat and could barely stand up, and now he's out there walking all day, every day, and moving off grid. And I should probably talk to Bob and see what he's been doing. Because if they're not ready to hear what you have to say, you may as well stand next to a brick wall and talk to the brick wall, because that's how much they're going to listen to you.
Yeah, definitely. Tall Cedars, about what age did you notice ill feelings all the time, and for how long? Age 37 for me to 66 years old. How about you, Bob? What was the age you were at where you started to notice the wheels were coming off?
Yeah. Well, I was about 20 when I got ejected from the Army, and that started my mental decline there. But I would have to say probably at about 25 or 30, somewhere in there, is when gout attacks really started to bother me, and for basically my entire life until the day before my 59th birthday when I went carnivore. I didn't realize how bad I felt until I got out from underneath all those drugs that I was taking.
Yeah.
And now I realize it was way worse than I ever thought it was. What about you, Dave?
For me, I was the first time I really noticed that things were wrong was when I was about 30 years old. And it's where I was constantly having lower back pain. And I was overweight. I posted a picture of this on Facebook recently. So I was probably about 90 kilos, which would be getting towards 200 pounds. And so I was overweight, and I was having this back pain, and I was just like, everything was uncomfortable. And I was like, the wheels are really falling off. And then when I turned 35, that's when I really felt like, okay, well, now I'm transitioning into just getting by until it's all over kind of thing, and at 50 now, I feel younger than at either of those times. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That was a bit of a memory lane experiment, that one.
Good question, Cedars.
Yeah. Very good question. Okay, Josephine, do you eat sausages? Here at the butcher's, you can get lots of different flavors. I was thinking of trying just to change it up from ground beef. Are you into do you eat sausages? Can you get like clean stuff around? Oh,
Yeah, it's the dumbest thing. If you look at all the packages of sausages in the stores, most of them have 2 or 3 carbs in them. The lowest carb sausage that I have found, because I like sausage, I like it a lot, is the pre-made, pre-cooked frozen patties from Walmart that come like 30 of them to a bag. They're fairly cheap, they're fairly disgusting, but they have almost no carb in them. So I do keep a bag of those in the freezer for occasionally when I want something. Like I just had some back on February the 2nd for Groundhog Day, because you have to have ground hog on Groundhog Day, which is what sausage is. But I don't eat it very often. Probably every 3 to 4 months I'll have 5 or 6 or 7 sausage patties. Except on Groundhog Day, I had pretty much a whole bag. I had pretty much a whole bag of sausages because it was Groundhog Day.
um, for me, I don't eat sausages. Sausages are like bacon here. You can't get anything without loads and loads of additives, so just avoid it. Yeah, you can't trust it. If it comes in a packet, you can't trust it here at all. And they don't have delis where they're actually serving you like food that looks real. So, okay, Target Prime Rib. Dave, I just pushed the like button on both your channels. Thank you so much. That's
Thank you very
awesome.
much.
Appreciate it. Okay. Da-da-da-da. I had another question here that I tagged. Hang on a second. I've got to go down.
And we've still got time to get a few more questions in because we got about 10 minutes left. And go ahead and get those questions in because if we run out of questions, Dave's going to have to sing to fill up the time.
Yeah, I'll have to sing. And the reason I'll have to sing is to drown out the sound of my rumbling stomach because I haven't had breakfast yet. So I just did an interview prior to this. And normally when I do an interview, I'm the interviewer, so I can be muted. So if my stomach's rumbling, it's all okay. But the interview I did prior to this was me being interviewed. So I had to sit there going, oh, I hope they can't hear this. Yeah. So, oh my goodness, no more questions at the moment. So, Bob, what? So it's evening there for you, right?
Yeah, it's about 5:37 p.m. here.
Okay, so what's on the agenda for tomorrow? Are you kind of up early, bouncing around, going for a walk, or?
We shall see. I already have tomorrow's video done, so I may do a sit down in front of the screen like this video for Saturday's video because I usually on Thursday, because I have my live stream on Friday, I usually on Thursday am recording Saturday's video. But it's supposed I'm pretty consistent with getting out no matter what the weather's like and getting my walk in the morning. But it's going to be minus 18 out there in the morning. I'm probably not going to go outside for a walk in minus 18-degree weather. So I will probably get up at my usual early time and sit down and make a video. Or since I'm ahead by a day in videos now, I might wait till it warms up to minus 10 or so in the afternoon tomorrow and maybe go out for a short walk. But I may just skip it all and wait till the next day when it's actually supposed to get up above 0.
Stay inside. It's really demotivating when you're kind of cozy up next to a heater and you know it's so cold outside. It's really demotivating to go outside, right? Even if you need to go and buy a steak or something from the grocery store, it's like maybe I'll just stay hungry.
Yeah, it's hard to get motivated, but I have found even like today when there was no temperature out there. Once I go through the hassle of getting all my cold weather gear on, I got a big pair of snow pants that I pull up, and then I put on a flannel shirt, and then I put my thin gloves underneath my big mittens, and then I put on my big heavy coat and my face guard and my hat. Once I'm all dressed up and actually force myself to go out walking, it's usually a lot better than I think it's going to be. And like today, I felt crappy when I left the house to go for my walk because I hadn't been outside in a week. But by the time I was done, I felt a lot better than I had in quite some time. So I do think getting out, even when it's 0 degrees or less, if the sun is out, it's good to get outside and soak up some sun, even if it's just for a few minutes because it's really cold.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a question here from John. Bob, did you start the no coffee thing?
No, I'm slowly reducing the amount of coffee. I'm down to 2 scoops instead of 3. So since I said I was going to start reducing my coffee, I've gone from making a pot with 3 scoops of coffee down to 2, and I'll slowly reduce that down again so that my coffee gets weaker and weaker. I have about a 30 to 40-day plan from here to get down to 0 coffee. But just like I did when I quit soft drinks, you start with adding a little bit of carbonated water to your soft drink in a glass, and you slowly reduce the amount of soft drink until you're basically just drinking carbonated water. And it's very
Mm,
easy to quit from there. And I'm doing the same type of a thing with coffee.
mm, nice. Okay. Elwood, have either of you noticed more padding in the knee joint after doing carnivore for a while? I have improvement, but have not been able to jump, but can get down on my knee without a knee pad. Bob, any thoughts on this one?
Yeah. Well, prior to starting carnivore, I could not put any pressure on my knees at all.
Mm,
Even on like the stairway, if I, because I did occasionally before I started this, have to literally go up and down the stairs on my hands and knees. But every time my knee hit the carpeted step, it would burn like I had just, as I described it, wrap your knee in a kerosene soaked rag and
mm,
light it on fire, and then try to beat the flames out with a hammer. That's about what it felt like to put my knees on the ground or on the padded steps. And
mm,
now I still have trouble getting up and down off of the ground. I'm much better than I was, but I can put my knees down on the ground now with no pain at all. So I would have to say, yes, absolutely.
mm, mm.
My knees have gotten more padding.
Yeah. Yeah, I certainly feel that way. Like my example of when it was really bad, like my when my daughter was just born, um, I'd have to change her sometimes without a change table. So you kind of spread out the little plastic mat on the floor and you put her on the plastic mat to change her. But because it wasn't like she wasn't on a changing table, that meant that you had to kneel down to change her. And that was so painful. Like, and I was kneeling down with my left leg splayed out to the side because I couldn't kneel properly. And now it's not like that at all. I can kneel down and I can keep that position for an extended period of time without any pain. So it does get better. Um, okay, we got one last question here before we finish up from Tall Cedars. What was your favorite fast food and do you miss it? What was your favorite fast food, Bob?
I I got to say Taco Bell. I really liked Taco Bell. It's Americanized Mexican food, if you're not familiar with that, Dave.
Mhm.
Um, Taco Bell is cheap, it tastes good, and you don't need to buy colon cleanses if you're eating a lot of Taco Bell. I miss eating Taco Bell, but I do not miss the way it made me feel. Just like
Mm,
with everything else, there are several foods that I do miss a little bit, but when I stop and think about how I felt before I went carnivore versus how I feel now, I don't miss it that bad because nothing tastes as good as healthy feels.
mm. So I don't miss anything. Like I had to kind of rack my brain there to think of what my favorite food was. Like I don't miss anything at all. Um, but I guess my favorite fast food would have to, and my tastes have probably changed, so it's messing with my memory. But probably McDonald's French fries, really salty French fries from McDonald's might have been at the top. Yeah. And actually, the number one thing, this is maybe going to make you sick, but the number one thing is McDonald's, soft serve ice cream, French fries, dip the French fries into the ice cream and eat that. That's the best. That was the best. Although I'd make myself sick trying to do that now. But yeah.
Yeah, we used to do that at Wendy's. There's a place here in the States called Wendy's, which is similar, but
Mm.
instead of the soft serve ice cream, they have a thing called a Frosty, which is like a really thick chocolate shake. And getting the fries and dipping the fries in the Frosty was a really big thing. So
Okay. So
you're not
now
the only
now
one that
now
did
I
that.
feel more normal. I feel more normal now. There's other people doing it too. So guys, I guess we've reached the hour. So that's it for today. We'll be back with you in a couple of weeks. From me, appreciate you coming on and the chats in the stream and giving us questions and stuff. That's awesome. Thank you very much, Bob.
Yeah, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. This is some of my favorite times of the week to just sit down and we talk about what you guys want to talk about. We get to chat with Dave, we get to chat with all the people in the chat, and this is really what it's all about, just hanging out and having a good time. So thanks for being here, and get out there, be 1% better today, tomorrow, every day.
Cheers, guys. See you.